everyone, are you fired up? Because I sure am. I am super excited today. We have Brendan Kane with us. He is the author of 1 Million Followers as well as a digital business strategist. So welcome, Brendan. Thank you so much for being on here. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So tell us a little bit about what you do. So first of all, your resume is just you've worked with so many people. Give us a little bit of background.
Well, I've been in this space of social media, technology, and digital for about 15 years, because even before social media, I was building websites and web businesses. And my background is a bit diverse in the fact that I pretty much have touched every aspect of it over the years, because I'm of the mindset that I constantly want to be challenging myself, testing and learning. I'm very much an experiential learner. So I don't really like reading about things in books. I just like to go off and do it and figure out how things work. So started off in the entertainment industry, managing digital divisions for 2 movie studios, and oversaw the digital strategy of campaigns for films ranging from $1,500 million budgets. That also afforded me the opportunity to work with actors, directors, producers, screenwriters on how to further syndicate their brand online. And then from there, I just realized I wanted to explore the world of being an entrepreneur. So I started building technology platforms and licensing them to big media companies. So I licensed them to MTV, Viacom, Yahoo, Vice. And it was really the MTV partnerships that opened the doors to work with some of the top celebrities on the planet. So that's where I got introduced to Taylor Swift and her team, and built technology platforms for them for 2.5 years. Then from there, after running those technology platforms for a few years, I got heavily involved in the paid media space and helped build one of the largest social paid optimization firms in the world, which means we are optimizing advertising spend on top of YouTube and Facebook and Instagram for Fortune 100 and 500 companies. And I saw a lot of inefficiencies of how those major campaigns are run for big brands and corporations, and decided that I wanted to find a better way of going about this, and left and started building my own set of testing methodologies on top of Facebook and Instagram, which eventually allowed me to do the case study on myself of building 1 million followers in 100 countries in 30 days. And then turn that into a publishing deal and publish the book and speaking around the world around the topic.
You are a young man and have just achieved so much. You work with so many big names out there, and helped create billions and billions of dollars. And so I'm really honored to even have you on here right now. So everyone, listen up. Brendan knows exactly what he's talking about here. So give us some ideas of, if just someone that's listening right now, Brendan, what would be, if you could give them, 2 to 5 strategies of things that they should really start doing in their business to help not just their followers grow, but to help them be more engaging and actually reach the people that they're trying to go after?
It's a great question. And really the first place that I always start in doing strategy sessions or strategy days with my clients is, why are they doing what they're doing? Why do they want to be good at social media? What is that going to do for their business? Because a lot of times there isn't a solid foundation set of what they're trying to achieve or what the expectations and goals are. And the reason that that's so important is this stuff is hard. It takes time and it takes work. Even though I did a case study where I generated 1 million followers in 30 days, I work on it every day. It's not just about generating followers, it's engaging them, hitting the key KPIs of the business. And a lot of people don't have that solid foundation of why they're doing it. And then they get lost and they ultimately give up or quit when they get into it. And just for my sake, like, there's times during the week where I want to give up and quit about it. But because I have that solid foundation in place of why I'm doing it, what the ultimate outcome is for me, and how it's fueling my dreams and my career aspirations, that's what keeps me going at the end of the day. Now, from there, I think there's really an important question that I work with people on is, do you need followers? Like for example, I just spoke at one of the largest dental conferences in Vegas. I spoke in front of 7,000 dentists. So for them, I'm not talking about generating followers. I'm talking about generating campaigns that are going to drive leads and revenue for their business. Because for somebody like that, unless they're trying to become a dentist that operates on a national scale from an awareness because they want to do books or television or podcasts. Really, they just need to drive patients and revenue for their business. So I want them focused solely on that. And followers are not really going to drive that for their business. Now, for other people, it is. Some people are trying to get a literary agent, a publishing deal, a record deal, to get on television or film, get on larger podcasts to build that awareness. Or maybe they'll do brand deals. In that case, okay, social followers can make a difference, and that's where we'll focus. But really making the delineation between those two different directions. Am I purely revenue focused right now? If I am, I'm just going to focus on advertising campaigns to drive that revenue, or I'm looking at the longer term play of validation and credibility around the brand. So that's one important question. And then where I also really advise people to start is, I get asked this question all the time, is like, well, what content should I be creating? Should I be creating videos? Should I be creating images? What should that content look like? And what I always say is start with your competitive analysis. Go make a list of all the accounts or people that are reaching your current audience and analyze what they're doing, analyze what they're doing right, and analyzing what they're doing wrong. And when you're looking at that, you're looking at the level of engagement of what's working versus what's not working. And you can start piecing together what type of content formats and themes and structures could work for your brand. And then you can go off and test and validate whether you can reproduce the success that they're having.
I think most people listening to this right now are more concerned with like getting good traffic campaigns. So for example, let's just say you're talking to a real estate agent and they're saying, okay, Brendan, what is a good strategy for me to generate as much traffic as I can to for real estate, or for somebody like myself who's a coach, let's say. What type of strategy, where do you start with looking at what type of ads to create for them to drive more traffic?
Well, one great place and a great resource that Facebook launched recently is the Facebook advertising library. So it's called the Facebook ad library, and it's free. You can access it. You just type in Facebook ad library in Google, it'll come up. And then you can start typing in your competitors or people in your industry and seeing what ads they're running, and start getting an idea of what ads are what type of content formats, themes, stories, things that they're using to advertise their service. And then you go to their page and see the type of landing pages they're using, the type of opt-ins they're using, the type of offers they're using. Because again, from a competitive analysis standpoint, you can learn a lot from those, from that competitive research. Now, that platform doesn't tell you, oh, this specific ad is driving performance or it's driving X number of revenue. You kind of have to read between the lines and look at the advertisers that are testing a lot of different content variations. And for those advertisers, you go further down and you look at the advertisements they've been running the longest, and you can piece together that those ads are probably performing for them because they've been spending money against them for a longer period of time. And also looking at not the advertisers that's only using one ad because they're probably not sophisticated, but those people that are testing content and what they're doing. And that's a huge asset to anybody that's trying to drive lead generation campaigns that it wasn't around. I think it's just in the past year, and the reason it came about is Facebook wants to do more transparency around their advertising platform because of all the Cambridge Analytica stuff and what happened previously with the election and Brexit. So that's a huge asset to use. And then you can use that same methodology for anything. You could go into Google and type certain keywords and seeing who's advertising across those keywords, what type of copy they're using, what type of landing pages they're using. You could go to Yelp, do the same thing. But you really using competitive analysis as an advantage point of learning where you should start and where you should test and refine the campaigns that you're pushing out.
So basically really take a look at what your competitors who are successful, what are they doing, and kind of what we call hacking them.
Absolutely. We are always looking at what, and some people may say competitor is a strong word, or they may not feel they have competitors. So you can just go off and look at people that are in your space or in your ecosystem. And the way that we'll look at it from an ad perspective or a content perspective is, how do we do what they're doing better than them? How do we get better at it than them? Okay, this is working for them, so let's just reverse engineer it and see what elements we can improve on, or how we can make this format work better for us than it is for them.
Mm-hmm. You know, lately it seems like we found that, you know, just even Facebook, that its algorithm is changing, and it's becoming more expensive for us to reach our clients and get them on our landing pages and get them through our funnels. I mean, it's just been insane. Have you noticed that at all?
I mean, a little bit. Yes, the cost in the auction has increased a bit, but to me, that's just saying that your content needs to be better, and your offer needs to be better, and your landing page needs to be better. That's what.
Okay, so improve that.
Yeah, just keep improving and iterating. At the end of the day, Facebook's algorithms and Facebook's auction wants to promote the most compelling and the most engaging content. So the better your content is, the less you're going to have to pay in the auction. The better your content is from an organic perspective, the more reach you're going to get. So it's like, if your costs are increasing and it's not converting at the level that you want it, then try a different offer, try a different content format, optimize your content. Just go through that process of constantly iterating to figure out what's going to work for you, because I can tell you 99% of your competitors are not doing that. And that's where you can have a huge advantage.
They're not optimizing. So give us then some strategies on optimizing. What would you say when someone's listening and they're having trouble, their ads might not be converting, they're not getting the eyes that they want? What are ways that they can optimize what they're doing?
So, for example, with video, we test different variations of the first 3 seconds, because the first 3 seconds are the most critical, because when you're swiping up in the feed, you're pushing content to people. And 70% of that video is watch the sound off. So how are you going to set a clear expectation in the first 3 seconds of that video that's going to hook them in through a meme card or through captions that can bring them in and foster that level of engagement and win that attention for another 10 seconds, another 15, another 30. So just to give you an example, for my book, we had a winning variation. I think it's like a 34, 35 second video spot. And what we just recently did is we came up with, I think, like 20 different hooks that we could put in front of that winning variation to speak to different audiences. So we created a hook specifically for authors, specifically for musicians, specifically for startups, for not-for-profits, for actors, for filmmakers in general. So we took our winning variation and we just added, I think it's like a 3 to 5 second hook in front of that. And now what we're going to do is we're going to test that new 3 to 5 second hook to all those segmented audiences to see if there's an audience that maybe we weren't winning before, to bring in those leads or to increase our overall conversion rate so that we can test that. And then let's just say that we get into it and we say that musicians are converting 3x of what actors, artists, filmmakers, and startups are doing. Now we can take that data and say, okay, musicians are performing better. So now let's create 10 different versions of the hooks for the musicians. Now that's a little bit different for real estate and other industries, but it's the same principles. Is like, what are different hooks that you can bring people in and constantly test and iterate in that first 3 to 5 seconds to get them into your core message? And how do you reposition your offering to appeal to different audiences, whether that's from a demographic standpoint, a geolocation standpoint, or just like the different products or services that you offer.
Wow. Okay. That makes complete sense. So just changing and tweaking and just the beginning. So basically hook, story. Russell Brunson always says hook, story, offer, right? If, like you're saying, if something's not working, it's either the message, it's the landing page, or it's the content that's not getting people to want to continue to take further action.
Absolutely.
So I have some work to do.
You always have work to do. That's the thing, is you don't stop.
Yeah. We're creating so many different landing pages and testing and tweaking. It's amazing how much work is involved, with when you're running these ads.
And I think the key though is to all of that, as you talk about testing, is I feel, most people aren't doing enough testing. And then there's the people that are doing the testing, but they're not really learning anything from the testing. And if you're not learning anything from the testing, then the testing is pretty much useless in and of itself. So you've got to make sure that you actually take the learnings and take action off of them in order to get better.
And so how do you, I mean, you've got, I'm sure, a pretty big team in front of you. How do you, teach people to do this? So if somebody is listening going, okay, well, what does he mean by learning from when I'm observing? How do you teach them to do that?
Well, there's different ways that we go about teaching people. The book breaks down a lot of our principles, and then we have, online groups that meet a few times a month to go through different things, because it's just, even once you know the principles, I mean, to understand the high level principles, and we covered a lot of them already, it's kind of simplistic in the way that it works, but to get good at it, you have to do it over and over and over again. That's where the real performance starts to come from. So, we've talked a lot about a lot of things today, and then also in the book, we break down a lot of strategies. We don't really hold back on any of it. And then it's just really putting it into practice, whether you're disciplined enough to do it on your own, or you need kind of that group setting, or the feedback loop from my team and from myself to just keep getting better and asking questions as you're running into things.
So the book, A Million Followers, is the name of the book. And you also have a course coming out pretty soon. So you've got a couple things coming up that I'd love for you to talk about, because I know you're very selective on who you work with. You say no to a lot of people, and you don't have enough time to really work with a lot of people. And so you're developing a course. Can you tell us a little bit about that, so that when people are listening, they know where to go to find it?
I think the best place is if they just go to book.1millionfollowers.com. That's where we have our free book, shipping and handling offer, where we'll send the book for free. And then in there, they'll have access to the new materials in our groups, and also automatically gets added to our email list with all the new kind of offerings that we have, or people can email me directly, B as in boy, Kane, Kane, at Brendan, BRENDAN, jkane.com.
Perfect. And so it's book.amillionfollowers.com for them to get a free copy of the free plus shipping book.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Wow. I mean, I'm excited to read. I haven't read the book yet, and I'm absolutely going to be purchasing that today so that I can learn your wonderful ninja strategies. So anything else that you would like to, that you think that might help the audience that's listening?
The biggest thing is just understanding that this is an iterative process, that, I've been doing this for 15 years in some capacity, and I'm constantly learning and testing. And a lot of times we'll get into things with concepts that just don't work, and then we just figure out better ways of doing it. We keep that testing and iterating process. So that is, if you just adopt that mindset, you will ultimately be successful. The people that fail at social media or lead generation or traffic is they just give up. They test a few things, it doesn't work, and then they just like, oh, social media doesn't work, or it doesn't work for me. Like, just the free book shipping and handling offer, that's a whole new thing for me. I've been testing that for 8 months, and I've been testing it with a team of 6 different people that I've pieced together, and we are still testing it and still iterating and still maximizing all the learnings to get better and better and better at it. Instagram, it took me, well, first off, Facebook, it took me 3 years to develop the system that allowed me to generate 1 million followers in 30 days that I break down in my book. Instagram, it took me about 7 or 8 months to figure out that system of how to get 1 million followers on Instagram. And it was a painstaking process to learn, but the only reason that I'm successful is not because I'm the smartest person, is because I don't give up. Like, I will continue to do it over and over again until I find the best strategy and the best approach. And that's like, I'm in the YouTube space right now, and we're testing and figuring out how YouTube works. We know how it works from a high level perspective, and we have people around us that are very experienced. And now it's just a matter of doing it and just experimenting and learning from those experiences. So again, if you want to be successful in this space, it's constantly learning, constantly iterating, and and not giving up until you find the answer that you're ultimately looking for.
And that's for so many successful people. They say that's never giving up. As long as you just keep on trying and you don't stop, that you eventually will succeed. But the faint of heart end up quitting before they ever see the rewards of their hard work.
And look for the right resources to follow too, with the right information, and don't follow information too long if it's not yielding results for you, no matter who it is. And that's also the way that I structured my book. Like, I think my material, my strategies are 30% of the book, but I went off and interviewed the top friends and partners in this space of how they grow online and how they achieve success, because I don't believe that there's a one size fits all strategy for everybody. And I think that that's where there's a lot of misinformation in the space, as people will say, this is the only way to succeed. This is the only way to grow because that's the only way they know. And I think they do a disservice to a lot of people out there by convincing them to just do this one way, and that's the only way to be successful. And that's just not true at all.
If you had to, so people that are listening that maybe aren't really utilizing social media, and they're wanting to utilize social media so that they don't become famous, but they become known locally in their area to generate more business, what platform would you say they should start on first? That would make the most sense.
Well, first, from a strategy perspective, it's just lead generation, and it's not about generating followers, because you're going to really struggle with the algorithms in a local market, because the algorithms are trained specifically to rise content to the top that's going to engage users. And those algorithms are typically trained to see content that is performing at scale to most people. So if you're a local business, you're in a local geolocation, you can do Facebook and Instagram and YouTube campaigns, but I would do that to offsite email lists, text lists, messenger lists, so that you can really foster that communication there, because that is going to be far more forgiving in terms of the potential reach of the audience that you build. And then there's other advertising platforms like AdWords, Yelp, that can drive sales and leads as well. So that's where kind of like I would focus on, is how can you create a funnel or a process where you're essentially getting at least net neutral generation cost. And then once you get those leads in, is just getting really good at fostering that relationship with them and maximizing the communication line.
And that's, I think, where a lot of the lead nurturing is what a lot of businesses suffer from, is they get the lead in and then they don't take the time to nurture that lead so that it can finally can convert. So you're saying get the lead in from Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, and then bring it into your own internal system to where you can lead it, you can nurture it, correct?
Yeah, or you may have an offer right now that you can turn that lead into a free visit, if it's a medical office or dry cleaners, or free consultation call, or actually push them into a sale right off the gate. Even in that situation, you want to make sure you're nurturing that lead after that first purchase, and continuously staying in communication and providing value to them, because you don't know like what that lead is ultimately going to turn into. A lot of times you've really got to build the business off the overall lifetime value of a customer, not just that initial transaction. But then there's some businesses, like you said, is maybe for like a real estate broker or a real estate company, and maybe you need to foster that lead before they're willing to sell their house, or before they're willing to work with you to buy a house. So just really understanding your market, understanding your consumer base, how they typically engage with people in this market, and then crafting a strategy that specifically matches that.
Got you. So, and obviously every strategy is different depending on who the consumer is, and then who the person is that's trying to generate the lead, based upon everything you just talked about today, which was absolutely golden. Okay, Brendan. Well, I really appreciate your time and you being on here. I know you're super busy, and I just want to congratulate you for your massive success that you've had, especially at such a young age. And to get his book, remember, you're going to go to book.1millionfollowers.com.
book.1millionfollowers.com, and one is spelled ONE, or they can go to, I think, freesocialbook.com also works. And if they don't want to get it from there, it's in all the major retail bookstores, and it's on Amazon as well.
Great. Amazon probably is a little faster, huh?
Yeah.
But you want to go through his book funnel. That way he gets your email address and you can see all the great stuff he's doing and follow him on all of his channels. Well, Brendan, I just want to thank you so much for your time. And we always ask everyone before they leave, what's the one piece of advice that you would give everyone? If you just had to tell them one thing, what would that be?
Keep testing and keep learning.
Keep testing and keep learning. Great. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate your time.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Okay, everyone, you're fired up. So now you've learned something new. Now it's time to take action. So as always, when you do what you love, people love what you do. Thanks so much for watching my video. You can learn more about how to be a successful real estate professional by watching other videos that I have. And be sure to subscribe to my channel. And as always, make it a great home selling and buying day.